بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. So this is lesson number 22 from the Believer's Handbook for Qur'an memorization, and inshallah today we're going to go from page 49, action 4, which is keep a journal. All right, keeping a journal obviously because this way you there's so much that journal. There's so much benefit for this. Recording the challenges that you had to face and how you succeeded in overcoming these challenges is of the utmost important. Recording the times, certain sections that you found ease in and sections that you found difficulty in, where you found the difficulty. Even your mood from day to day, just like, okay, I didn't want to get up and memorize today, but I got up and instead of reading, 100 times, I read 50 because I just wasn't feeling good, but at least I got something done. Just having that something like this record of your progress and how much, and because there's a lot that's going to go on because, memorizing the Qur'an is not just an activity of like, okay, I'm just going to memorize the Qur'an, because again, what I'm trying to show through the habits, through the actions and everything is your whole lifestyle has to change. And as you get further and further along and you got to revise more and more and more, so much has to change. Your diet has to change. Your sleeping schedule has to change. Your extracurricular activities has to change. And everything has to be primed to that focus of like finishing the Quran. This is what it's about. So the journal helps you to keep track of all that goes into this. And this is very important because you can always go back and look at it. Certain foods you ate that had a bad effect on you, write it down. All right, maybe you drank maybe you're trying to like stop drinking coffee because you want to see, okay, maybe coffee's damaging my memory. Let me go 90 days without coffee, but let me record how my memory, obviously for the first probably 15 to 20 days, your memory is probably going to be pretty bad when you first stop drinking coffee if you're a heavy coffee drinker. But then you want to see, does your memory get better? All right, maybe you drink black tea. You want to switch to green tea. Maybe you want to stop using sugar. Maybe, so there's so much that can go into just journaling. What things have you done? Like maybe you started writing out the page. You weren't writing before, but now you're writing. So you want to see, is your memory improving? You write it down and keep track of these types of things. And so the journal is of the utmost importance. As you go on this journey of memorizing the Quran. It's very important. All right, so what I said here, I know for a lot of men nowadays, this suggestion will sound a bit feminine. However, you will have to put your reservations to the side regarding journaling and focus on its benefits, because obviously, as I mentioned in the next line, men tend to look at like keeping a journal like keeping a diary. And as we know, growing up, I don't know about nowadays because these kids nowadays are so whacked out. I don't even know what to say. But for us, it's like the diary thing was a girl thing. That wasn't a male. Doesn't keep you. If you kept a journal or a diary as a youth in America, especially down south, and people found out, your friends found out about that, you probably get your butt beat. If you didn't get beat up, you're gonna get ostracized. Oh my God, you get so you're gonna be the laugh of the school for a long time. so a lot of people, they grow up with that mentality that that's a girl's thing. So that's what I'm saying. Put those reservations to the side. A journal is not a diary, so you can erase the concept of imitating females. A journal is meant to assist you in being reflective during the process of your memorization. If you do not keep tabs of what works and what does not, and what does not, how are you going to improve? And that's it. Because again, you have to have something physical that you don't rely on your memory when because as things start to get easy. That's what you're gonna basically, your memory is gonna attach itself to the most recent emotions and feelings. So and it's gonna lie to you. So all the pain and suffering that you're really gonna have to go through is really at the beginning. There's gonna be some pain and some tests and some trials and tribulations that you're always gonna have to go through, because you're talking about a whole process that could take years. And depending on the person, it could take years. It could take a decade for some people to memorize the Quran, depending on the pace of the person's memorizing it. So how you can't lose track of what you're feeling, what you're going through at that time. That has to be recorded. Don't rely on your memory for that. That's the journal is you're gonna record that in the journal. You could always go back to that. You can always revisit it, and just like just to see, because you have a record. And having a record of everything that worked, didn't work, all the pain and suffering that you went through, it's just that journal itself will tell a story. It will tell a story, and it's always nice to just go back and look at what you went through, what you've had to push yourself through. It's that alone is sufficient as far as like why you should have a journal. Just to be able to go back and just relive a lot of those memories, because anything that you're doing, anything that you study, anything that you memorize, the fun is in that process of doing it. The system that you have to set up to memorize, it's really anticlimactic when you finish, because you really put yourself into the whole process of memorization and doing that. By the time you finish memorizing it, you actually feel let down, because you're not going to have that great feeling like I did it, because you already felt that with every page that you memorize, every juz that you finish, you did that. You had that feeling. So now when it's completely done, you're like, now what? Now what? What do I do now? So it's really, you have to enjoy the process. And keeping a journal, you're keeping the journal of that process. You all the feelings that you felt that day, how much pain you had to go through, how much, days that you were sick, and days that your throat hurt, days that just everything, like you just couldn't read right, or days that you just somehow you just woke up with just gas in your brain, and you couldn't get anything right. Like everything that you were reading, you just kept having to look back at the Musaf, look back at, and you had to keep being corrected. It's going to be days like that. Record them. Record it. Record how you felt. Record how you dealt with that day. Record how what it felt to like finally get through that day and go on to the next day, when maybe the next day is a lot easier. So keep that record for you, because it's always nice to go back and revisit all that. All right, so then I said, for example, you might go out with some friends and eat a certain type of food. Although the food was delicious, you noticed the next day you found a lot of difficulty memorizing. You must make a note of the food you ate that night and the night before, and the difficulty you found with memorizing the next day, so you can avoid that problem in the future. You might find that you spend too much time talking with people, so you end up lethargic when it is time to memorize. Make a note of that in your journal and work on fixing the problem. I have found the best way to start finding solutions to a problem is to put the problem into writing. By writing the problem, you are recognizing there is a problem, and then your mind can begin looking for a solution. Otherwise, you will find yourself making the same mistakes over and over again. And as we know, the Prophet ﷺ said, إن المؤمن لا يلدغ من جحر واحد مرتين. So a believer does not get stung from the same hole twice. And this is the whole point of keeping a record of all the mistakes and everything that you had to go through, is that you don't fall, you correct it. And that's the truth. By putting something into writing, putting your goals into writing, putting your problems into writing, putting everything. Just don't shy away from it. Don't shy away from it. Don't be, somebody might read it. Somebody might read it. They might benefit from it. They're going to benefit from all that you had to go through in your experience. I wish I had kept a journal while I was learning the Arabic language. I wish I could go back today and read what was going on in my mind at that time. I mean, obviously I have memories, the memories are there, but the feeling and the difficulties and the pain and the suffering and the sickness and everything that I had to go through during that process, I wish I had a record of that. So yeah, I mean, this is very important. Buy a whole stack of like hardcover notebooks and just, there you go. And just start journaling, even if it's something small, but like every day that you're memorizing, you're writing something. Every day that you're doing it, you're writing something. Then I said another thing you can include in your journal is miniature experiments and the results you obtain through those experiments. And that's what I was talking about before, as far as like stopping, like, okay, I'm going to stop drinking coffee, or maybe, there's some herb that people say strengthens your memory. So I'm going to try this tea on and off. Maybe drinking ginger, for example. Obviously, you can't drink ginger every day for 90 days. It's not healthy. You start to like thin out your blood too much. You don't want to do that. But you say, like, for example, I'm going to drink ginger tea 3 nights a week for those 90 days. All right. So set like 3 nights a week that you drink ginger tea, and you drink it, and see, does my memory improve? And maybe you're switching over foods. Like, for example, I always found the best breakfast for me when I'm memorizing is oatmeal. Oatmeal, period. That's it. That's oatmeal with dates. You could throw a little bit of honey on there, whatever. That's the meal of champions right there. Maybe throw some butter on it, some real butter, not some fake margarine or garbage butter, but like real actual butter from a cow, not from a laboratory. And put that on there. You can get some ghee. Maybe put that on the porridge also. That's for me, like if you got like nuts, like for example, pine nuts, almonds, walnuts, or whatever, throw them up in there. That's the breakfast of champions right there. That's, like I said, that's me. That's my personal thing. That's something that I like when I was memorizing, studying the Arabic language, memorizing the Qur'an, memorizing Hadith. I always tried to find the foods that best agreed with my body, where I just like it's not so much that my memory improves, but also I don't tire quickly, because when you're sitting there reading the Qur'an for 1 hour, 2 hours, like as you start to revise, like 3 juz a day, four juz, you're gonna be reading the Quran for like 2-3 hours a day. That's just in the revision. And then what about the memorization? So you can't have like where you just get lethargic and tired and worn out. Like, I can't read anymore. I can't read it. So you have to have foods that help your memory, help your vision, give you the vitamins and nutrients that you need, keep you relaxed and calm so you don't get too hyped up. And check these foods and see the foods that agree with you. Keep it in your journal. So that's why for me, from Damaj, when I was in Damaj, I started reading through books of hadith about how the Prophet ﷺ and his companions ate. So then I found, like, okay, the one thing that I found that was mentioned a lot was a sha'ir. Now, the problem is that they translate sha'ir as barley. This is the translation. That's not what they grow in the Arab world. They grow oats. So, but what me and another brother did in Damaj is that when we did this, he said, okay, let's try this. So me and him, we went half and half, and we bought like a 50-pound bag of barley grains. We bought it, we got it grounded up, like we split it up half and half, and then we took it to the grinders and grinded it up, and I was making porridge from this every day. So like pure barley porridge. And I still do this. I have a whole bag of barley right now in my house right now. So this is something that's still practiced, not obviously not as regular as it was in those days, because that was every day. Every morning, that was my breakfast. That was it. And then I even got to the point where, like, I will get the dhurra, the corn, like the white corn, the sorghum from the Damajis. I will buy that from them, get that ground up. That's my dinner. So I'd eat 2 meals a day. In the morning was just porridge, and I would get the beans from the masjid, because you can go there and just like take a bag and they'll give you like a scoop of beans in a bag. Just take it home. I used to pour the beans on the porridge. Like, I would make the porridge real thick and then pour the beans on it and just eat it like that. It's probably the nastiest thing in the world, but in those days it was the best thing I could ever imagine. I loved it so much, because you're just eating that. I felt like just eating that porridge every day. It's like, well, I'm eating like how the companions ate. While also living in the type of environment that we lived in with no electricity, in a mud house for all those years. It also gave you that feeling of like living like them. So like dates, raisins, ginger, all of these types of things that like improve your memory. You want to keep track of this. You want to write it down. You want to see and do these little experiments with these things. For me, green tea was the number one thing. I remember the first time that we got some real green tea was some brothers from Indonesia. They opened up a dukan, like a little store, and they were selling all the Indonesian foods in this little store. This was in Damaj. And they had these little Chinese green tea things. It's probably, like right now, I probably couldn't even drink that stuff. But like back in those days, it was the best. It was like, because it's all we had. We didn't have anything else. Because the only thing that you had there was black tea. The only way that you could get green tea because you had to buy it from these brothers, these Indonesian brothers, and it had like this. It was like a little tin can, and it just had this like this painting of mountains and this river in China. So even at night, I would just put that tin can there, and I'd be like, when I get done studying, I'm gonna go live there. You know, it's like my dream. So I'm just gonna go take all my books and become a fisherman farmer. You know, like that's just get away from the world. You know, and that's so a long time. But yeah, I took this the green tea to a brother I was close to, which is Abu Zainab, and we drank it together one day. And then right when we got done drinking, I brought it and we drank it for lunch. We had lunch together. We had the green tea after lunch. And then we went to the lesson after lunch. We went to the Salat al-Asr. And then we had the lesson in Bukhari. So after the lesson, we met back up at his house because we were talking about something. We want to continue what we're talking about. So we met back up at his house, right after the lesson in Bukhari. And he said, that's it. He said, now I finally found a cure. He said, he said, you want me to repeat everything the Sheikh said in the lesson? He started like, just saying everything that the Sheikh was talking about in the lesson. He was like, that's it. Green tea. That's it. And from that day, that's all he would drink. He stopped drinking black tea. Like we would drink coffee every once in a while, but it wasn't like a day-to-day thing. But the green tea was just like once he did that, once he saw that, like that he had that episode, he said that was it, And even for me, I had already known because I was drinking green tea when I was in Los Angeles, so I already knew the effects that it had with as far as memory, cleaning the blood, and just like I could sit down and drink green tea, and literally I could sit down if I'm only drinking green tea, I could read half of the Mus'haf, and almost in one go. If I'm drinking coffee, I can't. I get through like 2 juices and my neck, the veins and the nerves in my shoulders and my neck, all of it starts to tighten up, and I can't read. I can never read 10 juices a day while I was drinking coffee. Never. I've never been able to do that. But green tea, I can sit there and just read 10 juices every single day. Well, I won't say not without a problem because obviously 10 juices takes about 5 hours. But if I was free, and I did that during the war, because we didn't have any coffee. All I had was green tea. And then, and subhanAllah, I never read so much Qur'an in my whole entire life, never. So, but again, you keep record of these things. You look at the things that work, the things that don't work. So this way you keep the things that work and you discard the things that don't work. So now you're going to see, because I said, for example, you might want to see the effects of drinking green tea on the memory. You take 90 days in which you only drink green tea and water. You keep track of your progress to see how your memory improved. You can do the same thing with ginger tea. But like I said, with ginger tea, do not drink it every single day. Ginger tea, if you drink it every single day, is not good for your health because it starts to thin your blood out. It's not good. But it is good to drink it, here and there, on a semi-regular basis. 3 days, 4 days a week is fine. But you have to, and also you have to take into account your disposition, the type of person you are. If you're, more inclined to like dryness in your body, like you get like a dry cough and you have this dryness all the time, then you want to make sure that you drink the fresh ginger, the fresh one. The what they call the green ginger in Arabic, the fresh one, like the actual root. But if it's the opposite, if you're inclined to more moisture, so you're constantly getting like a lot of mucus build up and all this type of stuff, then you want to drink the dry ginger. So these things you have to pay attention to. So I'm not, obviously you got to read. So you got to read. You got to, subhanAllah. And then I said you might try new methods of memorization to see if they work. The journal is there to reflect on the results you receive from those trials. And that's it. Because again, knowing what works, keep it. Knowing what doesn't work, discard it. There are so many benefits to keeping a journal. However, the journal you keep should only be for your Qur'an memorization journey. You can have another journal that you write other things in, but you must keep one journal with the sole purpose of keeping record of your journey. And if that's the only thing that you're focusing on, obviously, if this, whether, and you can have, for example, you're studying the Arabic language, you can have a journal for that and journal for the Qur'an, but you don't want to mix all this different stuff into that journal. Like it doesn't, you don't want like a hodgepodge of different things in the journal. You want like what? Just this one thing. This is what I'm focusing on in this journal, and this is the only thing I'm going to write about. And if you want to have journals for other things, just journals for your daily life or whatever, that's your business. You want to sit there with 15 journals and, but obviously the main thing that you're focusing on at the time, if it's memorization of the Qur'an, that's what you want the journal to be in. Finally, I said one final benefit of keeping a journal is that you can go back later and visually see your progress. You do not have to rely on your memory to remember how difficult the journey was. If you kept a good record of everything, you will be able to look back on your notes and see the difficulties Allah bless you to work through. A journal is indispensable. And like I mentioned before, is just even if it's just to go back and just reflect and just relive those memories. It's just it's unbelievable. It's a very beneficial thing to have something written of how you felt and the pain that you felt and everything that you were having to go through at that time, the difficulties that you had to work through and the type of person you became as you worked through those difficulties constantly. To have a record of that is amazing. To be able to go back and look back and read that and relive it and relive it again and see what you went through, because we need that sometimes. Because the thing is like we go through difficulties in life and Allah blesses us to push through these difficulties, but then somewhere along the line we forget these things. We forget like how strong, the strength that Allah gave us to go get through these things, and then we become cowards with the next trials and tribulations. We become weak and we forget. So the fact that you can go back and look back and see like, okay, look, man, I went through this. We did this. And we can do it again by the permission of Allah. You have a record of it. It's indispensable. It's like something that you can't just like say, oh, journal is not important. No, it's very important. I wish I had understood the importance of it, but obviously, we grew up like nobody stresses that. Back when I was in the Maj, I didn't have the money anyway. So like just to have to buy a notebook for journaling, that wasn't going to happen. That was not going to happen, because it was just, if I had money, it's going to either go on food or books, not on notebooks. I buy the most cheapest notebooks just for the lessons, just to memorize what I need to memorize and keep it going, but